What's up, guys? Welcome back. Jando here as per usual, and today, this is not a drill, guys. We have some potentially world-changing tech that we are pulling out of this thing that we've been building and developing for the past like month, I guess, and I need to show you guys. So, no waiting, I'm gonna get right into it, and let's show you guys some of the cool stuff that's coming out of AI right now. I'm so excited. Okay, so slightly different format, but are you ready to have your mind absolutely blown? This is a part of that new tool and that new app we were making and I've been showing off. So this is a part of this entire application that we're running and building in the background, including all these other tools. I know I showed this one off in the past, and we can double back on that one in a second, but just to show that the way that the development's going, and this one is insane, if just trust. But we're gonna go back into the actual code generation, and I need you to understand exactly how overpowered and crazy what I'm about to show off is here that we're doing. So to start, this is a tool that lets you generate code based on an explanation that's put into it itself, and it generates that code back out then again, and it lets you change the human readable explanation to then change the code that's coming out. So this is a perfect example, right loaded in here right now. We just have a simple console log, and if I select JavaScript, and then I'll change the input here to hello everybody. I can't spell, but it takes this same example, and whatever you're typing in here, it takes this human readable example and then regenerates you code back based on that. And if that's not already insane, let's just get into some actual insanity. So let's go into the actual code gen panel where I can make a new idea. So let's say I want a script to reply to the comments of a YouTube video, or something along these lines. And now this is the normal target. And let's say you had something you wanted to do with one of these things or something along those lines. Normally you go on the internet, start Googling, start searching, and be like, oh, I need these APIs. Oh, I need these libraries. Oh, I need this stuff. And maybe you formulate this, I guess, this explanation of what you're trying to do and what you want to do with the script itself. And these are normal, regular developing things. Now, this one, the reason why this is so cool is you don't even have to really write out these explanations. You don't have to even figure out what you're doing. Even if you are still going to code it, it gives you a nice background to start building off this. So let me show you this one. This perfect example. So we'll start code genning the script. Now this process in the background is going to take a little while because there's a bunch of inner working little weaving pieces that we're getting to make this all work and go. But once you have a piece of code, that's when this app really starts to get cool. So this generated this explanation, and we'll read through really quickly. So it says, create a script to interact, and then reply to the comments. Perfect. Looping through all the comments, reply to any that we need to, all this other stuff. And schedule the script to run on events and triggers. I mean, that looks pretty good. This is just an example. We've already had a bunch of people start testing this, and it has been nonstop insane results coming out of every single person that tries this. I know, and that's why I'm trying not to under-exaggerate. Even just this one alone, this tool, if we can get this out to a lot of people, this will let anyone with a cool idea that doesn't necessarily know how to code or even know how to plan coding, then either get a developer that knows how to code, or this entire thing will be able to develop itself. I mean, I'll be honest, I've coded a couple YouTube scripts, including the one that's updating for the sub counter. This looks pretty good, and I just read it in 2 seconds. I mean, I don't know, but now this is where it becomes really cool, where now we have this backflow mode, and this is the interesting sauce, and what kind of make this more of a tool than just a code generator, because this is the first thing everyone says is, oh, you could just do that with ChatGPT. You can, but it won't be as good as what's coming out of this one, because there's all this other stuff running in the background that it's hard to even explain. But let's now use this tool the way it's intended. So now in this code execution one, now we can rerun that same processing to get a better explanation of this script. So let's say you had this script to start. This is the one you're working with right now to call and do this. So something like this already exists. Now you can take that same piece of code, run it back through an explanation generator, and this one's doing something slightly different than the generator mode itself. So it gets a shorter and more sub-tasked version of what you were just doing with the code. I know if none of this makes sense, maybe you're not a developer, you don't understand, but that's the best part. You don't even have to understand. So now the new script will come out that we wanted to write. Let's say, and this has all the stuff, import the tokens, call the videos, and then optional, and I'll say, let's do 11. Also, when a comment responds with I love Jando. This is my script, you know. Send a comment back with a thank you. Perfect. See, and stuff like this, and this is I guess the showcase how versatile this thing is. Not only does it give you this script of this human reading piece that you can set back out and start running through, changing the function names, changing everything else. Instead of actually having to read the code, you can also add arbitrary steps to it that it'll pick up while you're doing, and it'll just regenerate those based on those arbitrary steps. Now, where this gets really cool, and this is kind of where I'm looking at this in the future of something I want to do. And as soon as, hopefully, this is light bulb moment when everyone hears this, and maybe I'm saying too much sauce. But what I'm imagining is instead of having code bases that are just documented regularly and defined this way, we can also have these human readable explanations of the code and what it's doing in the documents. So basically, if you have a really well documented code base, we can take those explanations that you've already made and just generate your code base based off that. So this maybe will give us infinite maintainability on code bases, which sounds absolutely insane to me. And if you're not a developer, you won't understand how insane that sounds. But I'm imagining a world where we have these descriptions and these human readable pieces coming out, and anytime you need to go back in and tweak, you just do a little tweak here, a little tweak there, and then the code that you needed to run just pops back out. As crazy as that is to say, it's still a little debugging. We have to fix some of this other stuff, but let me see if it got the part that I was just talking about. Reply to comments, and then there should be an if somewhere that says if, let's see, if, yep, right here. So generated reply message. If comment snippet, top level comment snippet original equals I love Jando, then it returns this. But I don't know if I can explain any further how insane this is. There's going to be a bunch of tests and things going through this. And the even better part about this, so now look, so now that I have this generated, now we have the ability to backflow the code back into the other one. So the new one we just popped out will pop into this side. We can update the explanation again and then just keep editing, keep tweaking until you have exactly what you want. And if we can start getting execution in here, maybe some kind of coder implementation, maybe some VS Code so we can check to make sure the code that's coming out is good. Even I'll say this like 9 out of 10 times, the code just works and runs as long as you give it enough information to say about it. But let's move on to the next piece. I'm keeping this short and sweet, but the next piece we have, and this was already game changing. This next one is on top of that, even more game changing. So let's go into this right now. We'll go back in here, and this is what I like to call the Arbiter. And this is something we're making. So you have to also know what we're making right now is not only we're making cool tools out of the system that we made to talk with GPT-4. We are also making the building blocks to then make those tools better and on top of each other. Now, I'll give you a quick explanation of what the Arbiter is. The Arbiter lets you take two perspectives and two I guess ways of thinking, and it debates them with different instances of GPT in a live debate against each other, trying to figure out what the best answer is. And then the Arbiter comes back in on top of that and mediates the whole thing. Now, besides it just being a cool tool, this is one of those default base level logic blocks that we're going to need when we're making really, really complicated ones where we have things running through code, things running through this, things running through that, where if we ever hit a point where we have a splitting the two ideas that we need to contrast and defend, now we can branch that piece out, have a more detailed and more nuanced conversation about it, recondense the information we found, and then give an actual good answer based on both sides of an argument. Let's say if it's even a coding thing, you hit a point where, oh, do we want to use this API or this API? Now it goes in and it checks all the resources and say what's better about this one, what's better about this one, and then makes an informed decision and then just keeps going. So you got to imagine if you have the code thing here and then you slap an Arbiter in and then you slap a code thing, it's insanity. I don't know how to explain. We're just making more and more of these tools as we go. Showing off a little sauce here. Hope you appreciate that. But let's go in right here. And the example I was using while I was testing originally is I'd say red is better, blue is better. And then start the debate. We'll let it go and we'll let it talk and start debating against itself. Now we have the ability to add user comments in while the debate is running, but I haven't really used these yet or played with it much. We've already been running a bunch of stupid topics through this to even see what comes out. And every time it's a very cordial answer from each side, and it takes the perspective that you give it to start arguing, regardless of what it is, even if it doesn't believe in it. But however, there's hard-coded into some of the internal prompts that will concede if it thinks it's a very bad idea, and the other side has more points. Points in that same way. It's kind of hard to explain even what I mean when I'm saying points on that. But you'll see it's starting to argue that red is a better color on this side, and then we'll get a rebuttal from blue in a second. But it'll just keep running through this step process until it gets down to the Arbiter itself. And the reason why this is like some secret sauce that we're working on right now is the ability to get this to do it, I guess, without bias for either side that's arguing for was very difficult. A lot of fancy word engineering that I had to do into those prompts so that each one of the instancized versions of the debate, I guess, level is using the same starting instance, if that makes sense. This will all make sense literally. I don't, maybe in the future when everyone's building these prompts, this might make a little more sense. Right now I still might seem like a crazy man, but it works. So it's one of those things. But you'll see even here, so some users are arguing red is better, passion, love, energy, blue, all this stuff, and it's just insanity that I'm having GPT have an argument with GPT right now over an arbitrary input, over an arbitrary thing, over an arbitrary task, and then I'm having then an Arbiter version of itself come in and moderate itself. If that doesn't already sound insane, maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. I'm trying to just fill space while this thing is. The one thing it is still a little slow, but not terribly slow. We can't really do anything around that. The only thing we're going to have in the future is instead of having to wait for each one of these text blocks, you're going to see it as it's typing, kind of the same way with ChatGPT. But now we finished getting through all of these ones, and now it's going to be running the Arbiter itself. And the Arbiter is then going to make an overall decision, an overall consensus. And if it sees one side's better, it'll pick one side. Vice versa. I know with red and blue, it's always going to say it's opinion based, which is, I think that's the end of the day. It's like, even when you're talking red and blue colors, people are like, it's calming, red is better for this, blue is better for this, all this color science, all this stuff. And I don't know how to even explain. But viewpoint and then opposing viewpoint, so it bundles down those viewpoints, and then the Arbiter comes in, examines both of them, and it's clear there's unique associations with qualities, blah, 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 blah. For example, red may be suitable for emotions, and then blue is in tranquility and environment. As the Arbiter, the consensus is neither color is better than another. So, I mean, this is working. I'll say it like that. And I'll leave you guys an open. If you guys want to debate two perspectives on here, prop them down in the comments. I'll throw a couple through here because we're in the testing phase right now. So I want to see what, I guess, the coolest things we can get out of this are. But I think that's about it for this week's video. I know this one's a weird format. Even the cameras are in a different place, but I want to say thank you guys. I really appreciate you guys watching, and it means the world to me. We are making hopefully the coolest things that are coming out in AI right now. All the OpenAI stuff, plugins are coming soon. Everything's coming soon, and we're going to be in a cool spot to just like slap things in and see where it goes. There's also a new name for this that maybe I won't share that yet, but there's all this stuff going on in the background. We are going as hard as we can to get some of the coolest tech in front of everyone, and I'm just surprised that I'm able to do. It's crazy. I have I could work another job now as a prompt engineer or something. I don't know. It's all altogether insanity, and we're gonna keep going. I'm gonna keep making videos once a week as always, but that's about it. Thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate it, and I will see you next week. Bye, guys.